Hi, I'm Zach Singerman, and welcome to the Gen Z Jews Learning from Leaders series. In this series, I'm interviewing leaders on the topics of anti-Semitism, Israel, and leadership. Today, our guest is Madeleine Steppel, a student at Arizona State University. Earlier this year, Madeleine wrote a strong op-ed opposing BDS at the Jewish newspaper that services the Phoenix region. It is entitled Call to Action, New BDS Resolution at ASU Jeopardizes Inclusion. Ms. Steppel, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
So one goal of Gen Z Jews is to get our generation involved, and many people feel that way, but they don't really take action. So why were you motivated to take a stand with your op-ed?
So I like to call out problems in society wherever I see it, but I'm especially inclined to do so when it comes to anti-Semitism and anti-Israel bias. I've been involved in the movement for, I guess, almost 6 years now, since I was a freshman in high school. And so I've always been strong on it, although this is my first real public stand. So I decided to write an op-ed because as a journalism major, it's one of the things that I'm strong at is writing and writing articles. And so I decided to write the op-ed. And part of it was I realized that other people just weren't taking a stand because they didn't see other people taking a stand. And so if I made that first stand, then maybe other people would be inclined to do so as well.
And could you just give a brief overview of what you wrote in the op-ed?
Yeah, so basically there was a BDS bill coming to ASU's undergrad student government, and some of the senators, there were 4 senators who were trying to get it approved, and they first submitted it to the student government president right before Shabbat, in the week following Yom HaShoah, the Holocaust Remembrance Day. And this was definitely on purpose. They've all but admitted it. They just wanted to hurt Jews because they could. And so, we heard of it an hour before Shabbat. On Sunday, there was a lot of gathering of groups of Jewish students collecting knowledge about what was going on, and also posting infographics and posting all sorts of things to show what was going on was not okay. And so the meeting was on that Tuesday, and what ended up happening was not what we expected to happen. We expected all the senators to be there and then to just vote it down, because ASU has been strongly anti-BDS, thank God, for multiple times now. We've defeated BDS in 2019, and I think a few times before that as well. And so we weren't expecting it to pass, but it coming up is too much, just too much already. And what ended up happening was we believe that the senators who were proposing the bill saw that they were not going to get it passed, and they didn't show up. So they didn't show up to the meeting at all. They blocked a quorum of the senators. So in order to vote in the ASU student government, there needs to be 2/3 of senators present. And because they didn't show up, that meant there was one fewer than 2/3 there. And so nobody could vote on anything, but they didn't just prevent the BDS bill from passing or even coming up. They also prevented what was left over of the $2 million budget that goes to ASU's student government each year. What was left over from that, because we hadn't spent as much because of COVID, that was blocked from being able to be used for this year. And so it didn't just affect Jewish students, Palestinian students, Israeli students. It also affected every single student at the university because they were cowards.
Mm-hmm. Now, my organization is currently focused on high school students, not only fighting anti-Semitism, but kind of being prepared when we go to college. So what advice do you think you have for high school students or college freshmen?
Yeah, so as I got involved in this in early high school, it was definitely something that factored a lot into my college decision-making process. Make sure that when you're looking at colleges, I guess this is for lower in high school, make sure to look at the speech codes of the various universities that you're looking at. So the FIRE.org, the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, they have a really good database of many of the universities, public and private in the US, and what their speech codes are. And so you want to take a look at that in terms of how it explains for freedom of expression, because these days in academia, the likelihood that they're going to try to censor you as someone who is pro-Israel, as someone who is Jewish speaking out about being Jewish, is pretty high. Now, I'm lucky that at ASU, our administration generally has supported us, but most schools are not that way, especially private schools. And you don't have as many rights at private schools. So make sure you look at those speech codes and just do your research about which colleges you're looking at. Or if you've already decided on a college, do your research on your own college, see what your speech codes are. Reach out to the fire if there's a problem with your speech code. They can usually help you reach out to your school to get it changed. They're pretty good about that. But yeah, so it's basically do what you can. It's easier in college when you have more First Amendment rights when you're in a public university than when you do even in a public high school, because you're a minor usually in high school. And so you have more freedom of speech. You're allowed to talk about more political things, especially outside of class. But if, God forbid, something does happen in your class that's anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, reach out to organizations that help with this thing. Reach out to Gen Z Jews Fighting Anti-Semitism. Reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at Madeleine Steppel or at msteppel. Yeah, I believe it's at msteppel. And then it's at msteppeljourno, I believe, on Twitter. Reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. There's also, tweet it out yourself, tag me, and show these assignments that are part of the problem in high schools, in middle schools, in elementary schools, wherever they are, wherever you see them. If you're older and your kid is in school, tweet them out for that too.
So how do you think you motivate other students to take a stand with you? Because I know from experience, it can be scary when hate's directed towards them.
So basically, when you get enough hate directed towards you, you kind of grow a thick skin. It's sad that it happens, but it does. And that can actually scare a lot of people off when you have a thick skin, because I guess it shows that you've been through it a lot. At this point, I do have a pretty thick one. But, if you don't take a stand, who will? And by you taking a stand, others will come up behind you because they'll see that they aren't alone. But you have to be able to be willing to stick your neck out so that others see they aren't alone.
And what do you think your call to action is for these students who are in similar situations as you across the country?
Again, so stick your neck out, write op-eds, write to your student government, write, pretty much anything, write essays, talk to your friends, talk to your classmates, talk to people older than you, talk to your Congress people, make connections, personal connections, because the best way to defeat hate is to make a personal connection with someone who not believes the opposite, but, someone who hates you. They find it hard to hate you when you know them personally and you're on good terms with them personally. It's very, very hard. It goes against every human instinct. And then also connect with other pro-Israel and Jewish students and, lean on them when you need to. Make friends, go to conferences, find these people, connect to them, and then, keep them as friends, stay in touch. They work great for professional connections, and they also work great when you're really struggling.
How do you think Gen Z leaders can really work to fight BDS?
So again, write, talk, and, lean on each other and talk to people who are older than you, because when older people see you taking a stand as a young person, they're often more motivated to help Gen Z as a whole, to help young people as a whole, whether you or someone else doing a similar thing or, all of that. And so just because they aren't exactly us doesn't mean they can't help us. And I mean, usually they're the ones that have the more money, and so they can help us do what we want to do. And so it's not a bad thing to work with older people, even if they can sometimes be annoying. But believe me, it's worth it to have a support system behind you of people of multiple generations.
And is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's it for now. I mean, you can read the op-ed at bit.ly/ and this is all lowercase, BDS ASU Oped 2021. You can find me on Twitter at msteppel and on Instagram at msteppel. Maybe it's msteppel journo on Twitter. Can't really remember. And then my website is bit.ly/Madeleine Steppel, capital M, capital S, journo, capital J. Journo. It's a short form for journalism. So there you go.
Awesome. Well, Ms. Steppel, thank you so much for being on here and being interviewed today.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.